Yeah, yeah. This corner of these bushes come out anyway. No, I've had the...
On an 8-acre site on the outskirts of Warrington, construction of the Young People's Peace Centre is about to begin. The contractors have until April to get it ready, but there's an earlier and more poignant deadline, March the 20th, the 7th anniversary of the IRA bomb, and the day it's to be officially opened.
You probably realise the programme we've organised this week is very well balanced, very detailed. And one of the things that we've taken the young people to see is the Bogside area in Derry, which was yesterday. And we had a very, very emotional tour around the very spot where the people died all those years ago. Now, the man who took us around seemed to us to give a very balanced presentation of what he says the events were. And naturally enough, he regards the prime blame as lying with the British Army. I mean, are you allowed to present your view back to me on this issue?
Me personally, no. Not I wouldn't say allowed to, but I'd say that I wasn't there. So I don't think I'm in a position to really be the person who could say, well, we did it like this, the army did it like this.
Let me put it another way. Would you imagine that in a tense situation like that, which I'm damn sure it was, that young soldiers could fear attack themselves and could easily panic and could easily take perhaps precipitate actions?
I think that's a fair comment to take, but I as I say, I wasn't there, so I can't really comment on what the army actually did at the time. I mean, I think that's for the inquiry that's taking place. All I would say is that it's an extremely difficult job what the soldiers did, and you put young soldiers out on the streets and you put them in a very, very difficult position, and they're under a lot of pressure.
What's the worst case scenario that you've actually had to deal with here?
I would say the worst case scenario that we get here would be the terrorism was at its height. You would have got bombings and shootings and quite horrific injuries or deaths. But we never had this cessation in the violence. We would have less of that. You would still have the punishment beatings and the shootings, but we mainly young people would be shot in the ankles or the knees, or beaten with baseball bats to that.
This part of the road here, we had a 1,000-pound bomb here.
Yeah.
One right on the junction.
This one right on the junction here was planned at one stage.
How long ago was that?
Well, it was, that one was a couple of years ago, at the end of the last ceasefire.
Yeah, it was just at the end of the ceasefire.
Pointed another way. What possible ways are there in which you can develop the community links that ordinary soldiers and battalions and regiments have with people living in Northern Ireland?
We do a few community-related projects. We're actually at the moment raising money for one of the local Belfast hospices, and we're doing a few things for that. We went on a run, a half marathon recently, which we got involved in, raised about £2,000 for that charity. We'll try and get ourselves involved with the local community.
It's an important week to be in Northern Ireland. Here at Stormont, the Good Friday peace talks are reaching a climax, and the politician voted most popular with young people makes time for a wee chat.
Reverential silence for you now. I said keep quiet. Oh yeah, good to see you. Thanks for seeing us.
Hi everybody, sorry to keep you waiting.
Yes.
Hello. We haven't got any empty offices or conference rooms because the talk's all going on up there. Is there chocolate biscuits? Is there anything special you want to talk about?
How are you getting on?
It'll be well into Tuesday, Wednesday, I think, before real progress is seen. Because of the very nature of negotiations, if I'm willing to take one step, but I'm going to make damn sure you take one too, I'm not going to take it today and then give you a day and a half to take another and put the pressure back on me to take another one. No, are we going to have a picky?
That's working people.
Yeah. Trash's doing a bit, isn't he?
Think of the stories you will write when you get back.
I dream at night of fallen shores and the time when I return to mountainous and rocky peaks, and I am once more.
Natalie.
For the scholarship students, a memorable week approaches an emotional end.
In their application, I want to see some sign of real interest, real passion about getting involved in this thing called the peace process. I mean, some young people write and just say, I'd like to go to Ireland. Well, that's okay for a holiday, but this isn't a holiday. It's got holiday elements to it, but it's not a holiday, it's a scholarship. That's why we use the word scholarship. The accent is on learning.
You must be very proud tonight.
I am very proud, yeah. I think they've been a credit to themselves, their families, their countries. They've been absolutely great.
We are so young now, we are so young now. And when tomorrow comes, we can do it all again. We are chasing new just running wild and free.
We made new friends on the first day. These friends, I think, will most definitely be for a lifetime.
Everyone has not had a bad word to say about anybody.
Very worthwhile. More than worthwhile, doesn't even come close. It's been amazing.
Everybody's bonded, made friends, learned. Everyone's been so open-minded that they haven't held a grudge against anybody else's opinions.
You made a lot of friends, and I mean, the friends for life, what you've made here, it's just really emotional.
The idea of the scholarship's brilliant. It kind of gives an insight into different cultures, and I think in the end it is going to help with the peace process.
Oh, where do you think? Make sure you do.
That's peace.
Enniskillen, 17 September 1959. I was born, and this is my grand wee hometown. But we're here today to talk about November the 8th, 1987, at about 11:15. 100 or so people had gathered here to remember the dead of 2 world wars, when their day and their lives were ruined, wrecked, torn asunder by an IRA bomb. 11 killed, over 60 seriously injured.
I was hit on the side of the head, and part of the building fell on top of me. My skull was smashed like an eggshell. The eye sockets, the bone cages at the back of my eyes disintegrated in my head. The roof of my mouth was blown out. The right hand half of my jaw was gone. I was split open from here to here. I had tongue paralysed, my eyes paralysed, my face, lips. I had 9 ribs broken, my 2 hips smashed, my pelvis broken 3 places, my 2 legs smashed.
Barely alive, oh.
Yeah. The surgeons didn't expect me to survive.
A survivor of the Remembrance Day bombing is Jim Dixon. He's one man who can't foresee a lasting peace in Northern Ireland.
This is not a peace. This is handing the decent, respectable people that have been tramped over by Mr. Blair O'Molan. They've been bought on every hand. They've been tricked and told lies. Do you think that's a formula for peace? That's not peace we've got. It's a form of anarchy.
I can understand Jim's bitterness after all he's gone through. But many here do hold out real hope.
When I arrived up, there was just this real eerie silence and people crying and moaning, people who were injured, and everybody, there was a railing along here where we were standing and everything had just disintegrated.
Years go by. What are your feelings now about the communities, and it's particularly the young people that have come through and actually at the moment are enjoying, shall we say, a peace of sorts? You must have high hopes for the kids, despite what we've all been through, you know.
Well, there is a hope of optimism, I suppose, yes. I think we have to look forward. We can't live in the past. We can't carry on for another 30 years of this violence. All we know is violence and deaths and murders, and I don't think people want that.
No.
Nobody wants that. Everybody is hungry for peace, and I think that peace has to work now.
Anne's right, you know, people here are hungry for peace. The decades of fighting must end. Any road, let's see how they're getting on in Warrington.
The office is now being filled with everything thanks to the generosity of other people. We've been begging, borrowing and stealing from everybody. Computers have been given to us by a local company. The fax machine, the potted plant. Most recently we got this wonderful filing cabinet, and as you can see it still actually says on it, on the sticky label, breath test tubes. This was given to us by Cheshire Police, no less, which was extremely kind of them.
The only way you know you've got this part of the job right is when the steel people come in and start putting the frame up, which they've just arrived today, have you seen? Now, when they start putting those columns up and beams across, then you know it's right. But up until then, you don't know. And if it's not right, I'm off. Off, out the gate, keys in the door, gone. That's what happens if it's not right. But it should be. Well, it will be. It'll be all right.
At the moment, it's just a steel frame, and over the next 2 months, you'll start seeing that frame being cladded with all the timber materials and the roofing materials, and it will start to look more like a building. The shape's unusual, and the curvature of the building, it's not square. And one of the initial things that I thought of was that it would be quite difficult to control the setting out. I like the aesthetic view of the building. I think it's going to look great when it's finished. I think the internals and the external envelope and the use of this cedar cladding, I think is great.
Cedar from Canada, pine from Sweden. In a moment, Daniel and Laura go in search of some timber.